What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa. You know, Justine is my co host over here, and this is episode 82. On this episode, we were joined by Juan of Lame Gretzky. This was such a great opportunity to have one of my longtime friend Tom's member of his band on. It was so cool to get to do that. And also, they're just such a great band. Lame Gretzky is one of those bands that also come from Philadelphia. So it's really cool to get to dive into that Philly music scene because I know and I've heard it is so special. So I'm really glad to showcase that. But this conversation could have gone on a lot longer, and it did. So there are things that maybe I'll have to put in a bonus thing that were really, really great. But just for listening purposes, we made it this length. But I hope you guys enjoy this conversation. All links below in the description. Go check out Lane Gretzky, but let's just get into it. Here is our conversation with Juan of Lame Gretzky. You guys are Philadelphia. So
Yeah.
that's really cool because I'm like, all right, we've had Pittsburgh and different towns in Pittsburgh area, but no one in Philadelphia. And that's such a cool place because I think we talk about like New York City, Chicago, all those cities, but Philadelphia, that's a big one that I think some people may not think about. But for you, what is so special about the Philadelphia music scene?
Just how vast it is. Because it's the scene for literally everything.
Yeah.
Um, and I guess for like us, it's great because there's a really nice like not just a pop punk scene, but there's a really good like scene of similar sounding bands or similar minded bands. So that was really nice to know that off the bat. But for a lot of us who like multi-genre. We like a lot of different stuff. Philly, especially for me, I love R&B and I love hardcore music in addition to all this stuff. So like going at pretty much getting to see those different worlds too is really fun about Philly. And then from there, like all the neighboring local scenes kind of feed off from that. Like I grew up in Lansdale, so getting a lot of that stuff and that exposure from the Lansdale music scene and by like just by just having it adjacent to Philly is just really cool.
Yeah, like Philly, it's one of those things like I think I went to a show. Oh gosh, I can't remember the venue. It was one of the bigger venues out there, but I don't know, it just had such a feel to it when you went there. Like, I don't know, like almost like that you had to be like tough in a way. I don't know, that music scene, like I felt like instantly cool being in Philly versus, even in Jersey, like that's where I am. I'm in like Monmouth County, so like I'm near Asbury Park. Um,
Okay.
and all of that, which even when I go into there, like if I go to Asbury Park, I just feel like instantly cool. But Philadelphia had that feeling to me too, like, and I felt like it was such a cool music scene without even like experiencing it for myself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's tough parts, but I feel like on every music scene, even in my local scenes, there's some rough spots that I can recall going to. Like I had no idea that it was in my backyard, kind of,
Mhm.
kind of like ordeals. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it is what you make it. Like once you find your group, wherever you're at, it's really easy to kind of feel comfortable and I don't know, seen, heard, what have you, at any of these venues. Like I can think like a really fun time when it existed. It was oh man, Legendary Dobbs. I forget what name it was called right before they closed, but we got to play some of the last few shows at that venue on South Street before it closed, and that was a really cool like community feel from all that.
That's the one thing too. I sensed of Philadelphia, like that community, and even in Pittsburgh, all these bands, like whether it was Old Neon, we had Sunday Complex. Trying to think, Dream the Heavy. Trying to think of every band I've had, and I
We've had
know
so many.
I know I'm gonna forget one, and they're gonna come, but
Yeah, it's so hard.
right,
Keep
and like
track.
right, and like it's such a community even there. Like they're like, and they would like almost if we had one band on, they're like, oh, you got to check out this one and that one. And I feel like Philadelphia again, like from the outside looking in, seemed that way too. Like that everybody lifting each other up, and whether it's basement shows, and same with New Jersey by me, which is really cool just to see it like is still alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's as alive as it is. It also kind of sucks, like how many venues or spots have changed over the years or had to close. Like even one that we played a lot is in Lame Gretzky. The Fire, they are selling their building, and we're not really sure if that's going to still be a music venue or a bar or what. Whoever the next owners are going to be. And they did a lot of work to renovate that place and make it a pretty decent venue. And it's got a lot of history too. Like I believe John Legend got their start there. The
Oh,
Roots, they
wow.
played like I think the Decemberists. I think is another band that's played there.
Wow.
So it's had huge names come through, but now it's like from the Times or whatever. It's cool, but like yeah, in that same aspect, there's a lot of great venues that are opening, like Photo Club. I haven't played there or seen a show there, but I've heard great things, and that's a more recent venue that it's going to be fun to be able to play there in October.
Yeah, like that's something I know, Justine, I'm gonna skip around, but that's something I wanted to talk about. You guys are playing the photo club. What are you guys most excited about getting to play there?
Just I don't know. The biggest thing is just being able to play there and being able to play in Philly. Again, is
Mhm.
having the opportunities to play as local as we can and as often as we have gotten. But being able to play with friends, like in 22, my friend Tony is the lead singer of 22. So having that kind of already familiarity, but then the bands we're opening for are just really talented. There's so many cool things about it that we're really excited about collectively,
Oh,
especially with Stop, Drop, and Rewind. They're just monsters. So
oh.
good.
I'm like, Justine, I gotta write this down. Like anytime somebody says anything like a new band or something I haven't heard of locally, and especially like Philadelphia's not that far from me. It's like an hour 40-ish usually, give or take the traffic. And then I have to go over the big bridges that are awful and I hate them so much. That's the worst. I'm always like, oh my gosh, just please like get me over this bridge. God, somehow maybe I'll have to get out there because I
Yeah.
really that would be really, really cool. And when I saw that, I was like, all right, that's one that's it's not that far. It's far enough, but it's not that far.
Yeah, if you're able to make it out, that'd be cool. October 15th. Yeah, it's a Tuesday too, so I know it's going to be tough, but just having like that support is, or just people trying to get out, it's really that's enough.
Yeah.
I think like yeah, 22 they're local to us, but like at least in Eastern Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area. I believe Stop Drop Rewinds Midwest and Moments of, which is the other band that's playing. I like that again. It seems cliche, but I do enjoy the bands we're playing with a lot. Like I didn't know of Moments of until the show, and I checked them out and instantly fell in love. It's some really fun stuff.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I would imagine like playing shows that it definitely helps if you like the bands and you can get into it, or they're your peers, right? Like that you guys
Right.
just have all fun. Again, I don't play an instrument, but for me, I know going to shows that my friends would play. It was always fun when there was like a good group of like, all right, three, four of my friends, different bands, all playing together. It was always going to be a much better scenario than, all right, like I gotta, sit through some other bands. And I always supported them, but maybe they weren't my vibe. So it was like getting through that
Yeah.
sometimes.
So we'd
Yeah.
really love to hear about what your first memories of falling in love with music are.
Definitely. When I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but it was some like local jazz musician. So I started playing with saxophone when I was a kid. So it was definitely jazz and getting that exposure off the bat that got me into music. But then being in bands, it was just seeing my friends having a lot of fun, throwing their bodies around at like YMCA's, VFWs, bingo halls, or just wherever. And just that kind of like sense of camaraderie got me into it. And then actually first going to one of like an actual like show for the first time. I think it was yeah, it was 4 Years Strong was one of my first like actual, this is a band I like, and it's a pop punk band and everyone's going crazy. That really wanted me to get into music in that regard, like being in bands and in that genre specifically.
Oh yeah, 4 Years Strong. That's a band. I was really excited because when I just saw I missed 4 Years Strong on their Day to Remember tour, but I saw Dan of 4 Years Strong play with Newfound Glory recently because he's filling
That
in for
must have been
Chad.
cool.
So it was just really cool to see him up there. I was like, all right, I missed you on your tour, but there's a part of you here, and 4 Years Strong and Newfound Glory are so close. So like that figures. But 4 Years Strong is like a band I feel that for some reason now they're even getting bigger than I think they were, which is really like
Mm-hmm.
interesting because I'm like, they've been around for so long. I remember, I forget the first year, but it was with Newfound Glory. But now with their latest release, there's people I know that are just hearing them for the first time or going to go see them. And I'm like, but they've been around forever and they're so important and they're just so good. It's important to like that easy core style.
Yeah, the easy core, that bro core style. I think it was 2005 is the first EP that came out with them. With
Yeah.
it has a lot of the demos from Rise or Die Trying, but I'm trying to think of the I think like Sparkle Notion is the track that came off the EP that I like a lot. That it had no one cared about it after they got like signed. I think it was Rise Records or Fear. I can't remember what record label it was. But yeah, Rise or Die Trying. That's still I play that every summer. It's just something about it. It's an anthem for me at
Yeah.
least.
Oh, it's so good. Like that, like I couldn't believe, I mean, I could, but like them with a Day to Remember, Story So Far, and just that massive, I know that massive tour. It just is so, so cool. Oh my gosh. Hey, I
Sorry,
love it.
I'm laughing at the cat
I
tail.
know.
I was like, I
I
was
know.
waiting for her.
I know. I love it. We love our cat friends, our dog friends too. Like, oh, but no, they're just, that band is just so important. And a lot of people, I don't think there's been anyone, Justine, that's brought up For You're Strong.
I don't think anybody has. I'm kind of shocked that nobody has until
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
Really?
actually, I take that back.
Wow.
Maybe it was Zach of Old Neon. I think maybe him, but that was so long ago. I
That's
feel so bad, Zach, if he's
Yeah.
listening. But I mean, yeah, but they're
But it's
so
definitely one of those
important.
bands we haven't heard brought up a lot, which is weird. But I think you're right, Lisa. They're getting a big like notice right now,
Yeah.
which is like it's so strange that people are just now hearing about them for the first time.
But hey,
yeah, they definitely got pushed aside. I feel like for a little bit there, and I don't know. I feel like they lost their audience when they did that kind of. I can't remember what it is now, but it was definitely more Foo Fighters arena rock sounding album.
yeah, I can't
It was
think
like
of
a
it.
great. Yeah, I think it was some shape. Some no, I'm trying to think. It had
Oh,
some weird, very like generic name to it too. It still was catchy, but I wasn't the 4 Year Strong I enjoy. I don't know that I grew up with. I feel so old saying that, but
no, I know.
it wasn't.
Wait,
I feel bad. I can't remember
it
because
wasn't.
I like a lot of their I actually have the latest album on vinyl. I liked it that much.
Yeah, no, yeah, the latest one. Yeah,
Uh,
no, of course, my
Analysis
spot.
paralysis analysis. However you say it.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't find on Spotify. I'm like trying to find that title, but my Spotify, of
It's
course, isn't loading. But whatever. Well,
it's
everybody
all good.
knows
We're
what
not
it
gonna
is.
listen to it. I'm
No.
kidding.
um, but obviously too, I mean, so that's so cool to hear that. But I obviously we have to talk about your debut EP, Greatest Hits. It's been out for a while, and seeing that best year so far, I think had what? It's probably over from when you guys posted, but it had like over 10,000 streams, and
Hmm.
which is incredible, I think, for anyone. What have you been most proud of about this release, about this EP?
Just the positivity coming back, all the sentiments, all the rad notes that everyone has come that this comeback is. It's very warm. It's very welcoming. Not that we weren't expecting anything, but it's just like it's how much of it and how people are saying is. At times it was overwhelming for me, especially with every other day it's like someone texting me like, "Did you see this? Did you see this?" And it was just really cool, like getting like seeing things I didn't get to see yet from friends. And yeah, getting the 10,000 on that one single, everything has. We just hit a month with the EP 2 days ago, and the single was only out a few weeks before that. So it's just that there's a very small time frame for everything, and the amount of feedback has been really cool.
Yeah, like the minute I heard it, like two and one, I mean, we should just talk about it too. Your voice, your vocals are so great. Like that's key to a good
Thank
band
you.
is a good vocal. And right away I was like, I like this, but I'm like, who does Juan sound like? And I couldn't put it. Have you ever been told like someone you kind of similar sound like? Because I'm like, you sound just, I can't put my finger on it.
The one I always get is Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that a little bit for
Uh,
sure.
when I was younger, I definitely leaned heavy into that for sure. But I don't know if it's just natural progression in vocals or whatever. But I like, or just me getting older and my vocal just can't handle that, or it just naturally changes. Who knows? But I gotten that. Or his name's Rob Fabiani from Don Broco. I'm not sure if
Okay.
you're familiar with that
Yeah,
band
yeah,
at all.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So now I'm
I
like,
love.
yeah, I could totally like those two maybe even combined a little bit in parts because especially in Best Year so far, I can hear the Patrick Stump in that one for sure. Like I
Yeah,
can, oh, now I'm gonna after this like have to listen again. Like, all right, which part is the
yeah.
where's the Don Bronco? But Oh man, no. And I love Best Year so far because I think a lot of us can resonate with those lyrics. I know I could, especially the part about like, remembering if you drink water, fold the laundry, and those little things like it's like this is just so good. And when I heard that, I was probably so many of those 10,000 streams because it would be in my car, down the windows. I remember like posting it and telling Tom like this is so good. So I'm not shocked that that had so many plays or maybe people sharing it because, but then again, like you have so many other great songs on this. So for you, what is your favorite song that you guys have on this EP?
I hate that question because it's so
Yeah.
tough. But it varies too because I wrote the lyrics and like the band, it was a collaborative effort, so I always wanted their input. If like something was too, even though the lyrics are personal to me, I wanted them to be as tangible to everyone else too, or a listener, so it's not as that one first person perspective only. Although
Yeah.
I love that in a lot of the same music or similar bands, sometimes I feel like it's too much of that and it's not enough like connecting or trying to like keep it open to interpretation. So I like Best Year So Far a lot just because it's the first song we wrote as a band. But my personal favorite is probably Anchorage, just because it's such a dynamically different song from the rest of the EP. And I like, especially if we play it live, it's a way for me to chill out
Hmm.
a little bit too. Because yeah, when you see us live, you'll see it. But I go a little crazy and move around a lot, and it's nice. It's a very chill song, and I like it.
Yeah, I know for me, I like Citywide a lot because the beginning of it reminded me almost of like Alkaline Trio in a way. And I'm like, I
Yeah,
hear it. I hear like almost on Crimson though, like that era of Alkaline Trio. And I said, just especially like the beginning part of it, I'm like, all right, what sound does it sound like? I'm like, I'm thinking it's like Alkaline Trio. Somebody in the band must maybe like them enough, but it's not so much where it's like, oh man, they're trying to copy them. It resonated with me where it's like, okay, this is why I also like it because I'm a big Alkaline Trio fan.
yeah, that's definitely Mark and Tom, the two guitarists. They
Yeah.
lean into that style of music a lot, especially Alkaline Trio, Bayside. Those really heavy rhythm, but the melodic guitars that are also kind of they're minor in key, but like they just have so much power behind them. And I'm not a big fan of those bands, not just because I don't like them. They're good. I just didn't grow up with them the same
Hmm.
as like Fall Out Boy, Third Eye Blind, and
Oh,
I'm trying to think. Oh God, my friend asked me, oh, Jimmy Eat World, like those three
oh,
bands that I grew up with off the bat, like and loving. Um,
yes. Another person. I've been waiting. I've been telling Justine, I finally on Sunday. So now I have to go back whenever that episode comes out. We just recorded because nobody has talked Jimmy Eat World yet. And I was like, this band, I love them so much. There's such the importance of
mhm.
them. And I finally had one person, and now we have another one. And Third Eye Blind too. I love Third Eye Blind. They're top tier favorite. I know people say stuff how they are live now. I don't care. I love them, especially the self-titled, the Blue record. Just I love them so much.
Yeah, I actually have, because I saw them live. They were doing some raffle. I have the blue record signed by them upstairs. I have no idea how I landed that. My friend's like, "You gotta check the table before you leave, see if you want anything."
Yeah.
And I did. It was wild, but I didn't have a. I've seen them live a few times, and I didn't have a problem. The opening bands were questionable, but I think everything else was cool.
Oh,
Like,
that's like when I saw recently, I saw Limp Bizkit, and I was really excited to see Limp Bizkit because I was like, I
nice.
need to see them, from back in the day and just that new metal. I was like, I need to go. But I'm really glad that we skipped almost all the openers because I was like, everybody around me was like, because we got into our seats. And they're like, oh, you missed quite the show. It was like their Loserville. So they had like Corey Feldman. They had all these weird, like
Oh
Riff
wow.
Raff. Riff Raff was hosting it. And it was like, but there was this one rap group, Bones. I think they're Bones. I forget what they're called, but like they were actually
Wait,
pretty cool. But
older like rap group,
yeah, I don't know.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
No, oh, I wish it was that.
No,
It
I
was,
was the same. I'm like, that sounds
no,
cool.
no, that would have
Like,
been cool. I forget what it was, but it was Bones something. But that
hmm,
it was like one of those things where I was like, this is the only time I always tell everyone support the openers. I was just telling Justine how
yeah.
seeing Newfound Glory, and I was so mad Sincere Engineer was on. And
They're awesome.
oh, I love them. And so many people were talking, and I was so mad because originally being from Chicago, I wanted to support Deanna. I think what she's doing is just phenomenal for how young she is, and just to get this opportunity. And everybody around me was talking, and I'm like, you have to support your openers. But then here I am bashing the openers and limits.
Right.
But you do have to support. And like yeah, Sincere Engineer, that's another one that I just
Well,
Yeah.
and it's one of
It,
those things too. You never know when one of those openers are going to make it super big, because like I used to see Portugal the Man whenever like nobody knew who they were, and now look at them, they've won a Grammy and
yeah.
stuff. Like,
mhm.
be good to the
Wild.
openers. You don't know who they're going to end up being. Like, it's just weird to me.
Yeah. Support whatever music you can. In the end, it's just like there's so much of it too. It's so hard to get out there, but yeah, like it wasn't that the opening acts were bad. I guess I'm thinking back at Third Eye Blind. It
Yeah.
was just that it was interesting their choices. Now I'm thinking about it. Like Modest Yahoo opened the one show I saw,
Oh
and that was
yeah.
just wasn't bad. It was just like what I don't know how these two
Right.
they saw the same record label. That's the only thing I saw. But like it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I think
Uh,
at least on the last tour Third Eye Blind did, which I didn't go to, which why didn't I? I think it was Yellow Card. And that,
that would have been
even
cool.
then though, it doesn't really, but I love Yellow Card, but it just doesn't make sense, I think, with a lot of the older Third Eye Blind fans to watch Yellow Card. But I should have gone to that one. So I don't know. I'm missing out. But Third Eye Blind, oh, I'm so happy with Jimmy Eat World and Third Eye Blind. So we
Yeah,
finally have
that'd be
it.
nice.
We finally have it. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, I know not to go off too much, but like Jimmy Eat World, what would be your favorite record by Jimmy Eat World?
Futures probably.
But all right, this is
Uh,
something is happening in the universe, because finally, my guest, I vouched for Futures so many times, and people are like, "Oh, no, you got Bleed American," and it's great. But like, I'm so happy right now. Someone else for Futures, so it's great.
yeah, it's well the one I can't remember what song my cousins used for their wedding, so that has a little bit of attachment for me.
Yeah,
But it's just that it's very front to back. I mean, Clarity is cool, Bleed American's cool, but man, something about Futures front to back, it's just very like I feel whole once it's done. It's something weird
yes,
about it. It's just very, very finale. Very like it just feels nice at the end of everything. Even though it ends on a sad note, at least I have what's a closure to an
yeah,
album for some reason. It was really weird. Kind
yes.
of like
Oh,
when you watch The Notebook.
yes. Oh my gosh, yeah. So watch The Notebook and then listen to Futures. Like anyone listening, you'll have a well, maybe a good evening, depending. You might be really sad, but
Yeah,
whatever, yeah. But
it'll
oh my
feel good to
gosh.
feel.
But this is so great because again, another futures person. Oh yes. We have what,
Yeah.
episode 78, 70, 80, whatever. I'll maybe put yours back to back, and I'll be like, see, there's two people futures. Like there's some
It means
truth to
something.
that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
go ahead, Justine. I'm like, I have to go off on Jimmy Eat World.
So, how has music made a positive impact? Like, have you had any artists in particular that have really just helped you through your life or anything like that?
Oh, for sure. Outside of music just being the main thing that I love doing, it's gotten me through a lot of rough times. Um, you can even hear it in the lyrics. Just it's kind of like little capsulated moments of just like these points in time, and what they how bad they were or how I got through them or how I didn't get through them in some instances. But recently, bands like Have Mercy and Pedimento have gotten me through a lot of rough times. And I like lyrics, and I like when they actually like go with the music very well. And it's not just here's a lot of big words or a lot of like ennui for the sake of ennui or whatever. I really enjoyed those bands and just what they meant to me at that time and how they got through. It was almost like did they find out like what's going on in my life and they wrote that about me? Kind of one of those moments. So those two bands are the first ones I can think about off the bat.
Oh, again, two ones we have not yet. And I don't know anyone like Pentimento. I don't think anybody else has said that band. And I recently
Oh,
got into them, like, well, not recently, but years ago. And I was late to that party. But and even Have Mercy too, I was late to that party. But like when maybe it was like 2017, I don't know, 20, but it was later than a lot of people. And I kept saying, like, where was this? Like, this is perfect for me at this moment in my life. And I feel like they're two bands that are really still slept on by a lot of people. And I love this like resurgence of emo, pop punk, all that. I would love if people went to like to those bands. Like it's cool to like come back to MCR, but like everybody in this scene knows MCR. I would love bands like Have Mercy, like for people to be like, what is this? And go to that and maybe discover them because they're so slept on.
Oh, for sure. They just came back recently too, and I was so happy of that. I actually had a rough patch in my life, and I didn't have enough money for a ticket to go see them. So my roommates actually were like, "Hey, we found out you like this band, so here's money for a ticket. Like, go out, have fun." And it was nuts. Like, it was everything about that night was so cool. Like, having that my roommates help me out with that, being able to see them like after all these years, because they broke up and then they came back.
Right.
It was really cool. I think it was some anniversary too for the Earth's pushback. Yeah, those two, like the lyrics for that, especially with Penamento, it sucks that they are not a thing anymore. But like,
Yeah.
man, that last album they put out had some of like the roughest lyrics I ever had to like. They're great, it's cathartic, but like, man, it was very, very. It's hard to listen to, but it's nice.
Yes, exactly. That's the perfect way to like describe Pentimento is you hard to listen to, but nice because it is like some of those lyrics. But that's what's so great. And I think that's so great that you had your roommate to do that because those people are so important. They're like, hey, you need this show. This is coming to town. This is like, or if they realize, hey, music helps you through anything mental health related, because that's my brother-in-law to a T. Like he knows, like one of our favorites is Anthony Green, Circus Survive, LS Dunes, all that.
Nice.
We love Anthony Green so much. And when he saw he was coming back here to Crossroads in New Jersey, immediately was like, I
Love
bought
that
your,
place.
I love Crossroads.
Yeah.
It is that I just discovered it maybe a year or no, before that, maybe 2 years ago. And I always was like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go alone. But it ended up going, and it was one of the best things. Like I've seen Anthony Green there solo. I've seen Brian Fallon there, and then Thursday just played there.
Oh,
And
nice.
like it it is just the perfect place. The only, and at first I was like, all right, the parking sucks, but not really. I just go across the neighborhood and it's all good. It's fine. But oh, those venues are just they're so perfect.
Especially for
Oh,
shows like that. It's
oh,
yeah, it's a cool venue. I got to see Anthony Green a long time ago. I want to say 2011, somewhere on that
hmm
ballpark. Siren Records, just playing acoustic, very
oh,
very fun. Just having those intimate moments with bands like that. And I think it was the Good Old War that opened. I can't remember.
oh, that probably, and that is bucket list to see him at Siren Records. I said that is my bucket
Really?
list to go there and see him. And
Yeah, I still remember him taking way too much time to make sure that he talked to everybody after that
yes,
show. I remember being there. I got to talk to him, did my thing, still like checking out records, whatever. It had to have been close to midnight, and he was still
mhm,
had at least 10, 12 people like there waiting to talk to him.
Yeah,
And
yes,
that
that's
was, I mean, I know
cool.
he lives in Doylestown, but it was still wild. Like he could have just said, "Hey, I need to leave." Like,
yeah,
but
Almost
yeah,
like genuine, like genuinely cares about his fans. Like he sets
hmm
the scale of like if you're famous, you can still have that connection and have it be genuine and actually care about the people that follow you. And it's just it's such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And like, I mean, after all, like I've met Lisa, I've met so many people that are so important to me in my life due to him and Circa and whatnot. And I've gotten to be all over the country to go see him. And it's just not a lot of bands do that. You know what I mean? Where they have that
hmm
genuine connection with their fans. And he's just, uh, it's, it's just beautiful. Just
I
like,
mean,
yeah,
every
I
single
bet
person.
it checks out.
And I was like, holy, like, what the hell? Go home. Like, you're an hour and a half away. Go home. Um, just day to day, what would you like to see for mental health?
Personally, easier ways to be able to connect with people. If you need that type of outlet, like whether it be therapy or to have some type of assessment, if you because there's different levels for it. Because some people don't want the full assessment. of being diagnosed for whatever reason. That's their reason. Whether it's they can't hold the weight of having that label on them, or because they think that's too much, or they don't want the world to perceive them in a certain way for being labeled like having ADHD or what have you. And, getting rid of those stigmas would be great for one, but
Yeah.
that's over time. But just having the access to be able to talk to someone or talk someone through, or kind of like a liaison, or what would be for, I'm trying to think, like more like social workers, but for mental health. Like at my job, they do have some type of mental health suite, the teledoc, where you could connect with somebody, but it still comes at a cost. And even for someone who works, 40 hours a week, I work for a company that pays pretty decent. It's still the cost on it is just insane.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the only one that's speaking out about that, but I paying anywhere from at the lowest, it was like, I'll just be transparent, like $75 out of pocket just for talk to someone for a half an hour.
Yeah.
That's it's not, it is for my health at the end of the day, but that's could
That's a
add
lot.
stress to me, because like that's $75 a week if I'm doing that, or however often, like just having just making it easier for what's supposed to be this first world help. I don't know. Just those two things, getting rid of the stigma and making it easier would be the biggest things. But outside of that, everyone else is already doing their part, talking about it, opening the conversations, being there, like especially this generation coming up, that no one's afraid to talk about what's going on, and that's really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought that up too, like the cost of it, because that is such a burden. Like, and even that, sometimes it takes you a couple therapists to find a good one, right? So then
Hmm.
I'm more out of pocket, more this, more that. And it's like you're already trying to take the steps, and sometimes it's harder just to do that. Sometimes you don't even like, even for me, when I'm going through it and having an anxiety disorder, picking up a phone call, like, and calling someone to make that appointment is already hard enough. So then you need me to jump through other hoops. I know Justine and I, we relate on that, like calling everybody and setting up these appointments. Like it's the hardest thing. And then I have to jump through all these other hoops on top of it and then worry about how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to do that? And I do agree that this generation is doing such a good job where we have
Yeah.
people like you and other people that want to come on and talk mental health and do that and say, hey, you know what? Like, this is what's going on. Instead of like before, I mean, even as a teenager, like I was told, oh, okay, like everyone was just crazy if they had a mental health problem, which is awful. That's awful to say, but
Hmm.
that's how it was. And I think we're getting a little further from that for sure.
Oh yeah, it's leaps and bounds since I've been a kid, or at least having people are more willing to have the conversations. Especially people who are older than me who were reticent of that growing up. That's like a huge improvement in that regard. Yeah, just hoping for the best. Every day that again a little bit closer to something cool.
I do. And I love things like World Mental Health Day, but I hope that like more companies too would take it more seriously too. And like, again, the dream, I know we've said it before, just seen a couple of times, like if jobs instead of just because your mental health is your health. It's not just mental health. They're like, it's everything. It's health in
Hmm.
general. We should have days where like, hey, I'm having a day. I need a mental health day in our like PTO. And I know that's like I've never had a job with PTO, so I know I'm speaking out of like like a pipe dream, but I think that would be really great if people did that because there's so many times people are really struggling, but they have to go to work. They have to make money. They can't just stay home half the time.
Yeah, like for those that do have PTO, at least from like with the company I work for, there is the option to like anyone same day call out. You don't have to give a reason for it. It could be you're
Oh,
generally sick or whatever. But a lot of people who are gig workers, like friends and family that I know, and we all probably have and know,
yeah.
they don't have that same. I can just call off because I don't feel well in any regard. They have to
Hmm.
work, or they have to figure out a way to supplement that income that week. So having some type of band-aid, which literally was a company when Warped Tour was a thing, that gave health insurance for bands that were on tour that didn't have that.
Oh,
Um, so having something similar, I don't know. If, I honestly don't know if there's still a thing or if there's something similar available to bands. But having something like that for gig workers or just anyone who doesn't have health insurance in that regard would be really would be really nice.
So we always love to ask people what kind of tools you use to aid in your mental health besides music, just because sometimes people just need a good idea of some other things to help their mental health and they just don't really know what to do. And asking this question just kind of really helps not only like our listeners, but also us sometimes.
Yeah, that's a rad question. I always like that because it's just having, even though everyone always has those atypical things that say like, oh, go for a walk, have a nice home cooked meal, pet your cat, like all that stuff. Which those things help. It's neat hearing what other people have to say too, because like I'm actually bought this for as a gift for my roommates. It's called an adventure journal. And I have terrible decision paralysis some days when I like want to do something, or like I'm tired of being indoors all day, and it's just nerve wracking. It's like I could do this, I could do that, but I'm sitting a half an hour of deciding. This little a deck of cards, you shuffle it, pick a card, it gives you something to do, whether it's like, hey, clear this clutter out, or go to a museum, or check out a random song from an artist that you like, that you haven't listened to, you never listened to, or whatever. So really fun stuff like that, just like like those random ideas, or idea dumping that you can find, or like I'm trying to think, geocaching is another thing that's kind of cool that I like to do from time to time for exploring whatever for mental health. Sorry, to get terrible segue. I like to walk and hike. So geocaching kind of goes along with that.
But that's cool. So where did you
Yeah.
get this deck? Like where can someone, if they like are hearing this?
It's on. I could find the company. But if you just look up on Google like adventure, what was it, random adventure deck or random
Okay.
adventure trading cards?
Yeah.
It's a little gnome guy on the front of it. And there's different types too, like a self-care deck, one to do with a group. It's very neat, especially like
Yeah.
for myself too. I just cannot figure out what to do some days, even though there's
Mhm.
so many things to do. Especially in my area, I live in Chester County, and there's just lovely trails and preserves that I like going to check out the butterflies, the flowers, and the birds. Outside of music, I try to pivot to other forms of art when I get like, how would I put it, the writer's block or the music block, or I don't feel inspired. So I doodle a lot. I have those coloring books for adults, where you fill it in and everything.
Yeah.
So many things. I probably stuff down here in my living room that I've probably half done projects, but still something to pivot to when I'm like, that's pretty much trying to just change the energy rather than doing nothing, or just like throwing on the same Trailer Park Boys episode I watched 10,000 times on Netflix or whatever, just, yeah, just trying to keep momentum as much as possible really helps my mental health too. Because at the end of the day, it's that reward system too. It's like I did something, or I made this thing, and it's I didn't just slump or like do absolutely nothing today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would recommend that for anybody. Just like finding something to help you make that decision, or just
Yeah.
pivoting the energy a little bit.
Yeah. I was like, I made a note about this deck. I'm like, I gotta look this up because like that for me, that's my
That's because
hardest
it's
thing
like something you
sometimes.
would love. Yeah.
Yes, that's hard. And I love the reward system almost. Like I had this little app, forget what it's called. I should even figure out what this app is, but it's something where you can make like what you want to do and then you click it off. And every time like you check it off, it's almost like, oh, I did this today or that. But for some reason, I don't know, like I don't want to call myself stupid, but I did something where it says drink water. But so now every day at
Yeah.
like 7 a.m.,
Some
it's
people
like,
do that.
but like every day at 7 a.m., it says drink water. And you're not always up at 7 a.m., right? But it'll be like, drink water.
Mhm.
Did you drink your water? I'm like, yes, I drank my water, like relax. But like, so then there's that aspect. But like, I like things like that, like you're saying. So that's something that
Yeah.
there's so many times I will sit around. I'm like, oh, it's already noon. What did I do? Or like 1 or 2, I'll look at the clock. Like, it's 2 o'clock. I've done nothing. Like I've just sat around wondering, what am I going to do today? So no, I need to get this card and then I'll link it for everybody too. But oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
love that you mentioned coloring books and stuff because that's one of my things. Like I
Yeah.
have, so because I'm autistic, a lot of things that I've learned from other autistics is making a fidget cart. So it's like a cart. I have
Yeah.
fidget toys on top. I have my coloring books, and I have my doodle book. I have like Legos that I haven't built yet on it too. And so like I have a huge collection of coloring books because I'm also a collector. So like I just collect things. And so
I feel
anytime I
that.
find a really cool coloring book, I'll get them, but I'll put up my like main ones I want to like work on my cart. So I just love that you mentioned that, because like it's one of those things where people will be like, well, coloring is silly. It's like,
No, I
it's
do it all the
really
time.
not.
Hmm.
It's really not. Sometimes,
Uh,
like when it comes to drawing in particular, for me especially, like trying to think of what to draw is too much anxiety. And so if
mhm.
I just have like a coloring book, it's already there. You just got to color it in. It's more stress relieving, and it's fun, and it's like you're doing art but without the stressors of doing art.
Yeah,
So,
like having cues or those like draw the paint by numbers things kind of cool too.
yeah.
Hmm.
But it is
Yeah.
sometimes the variety is overkill because like again the decisions paralysis can be awful with how many things are I could do. But it's nice. Like, I could color or I could doodle because doodling's so low stakes too. You can just go off with it and just. I got so inspired by the zine culture from especially in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s. Just getting inspired by that, or like I'm not sure if you have familiar you guys with art, but Keith Haring is an artist that I've liked who's from who's from Kutztown and where I've lived for a little bit. They're pretty famous. They've done a lot of things for like a Tribe Called Quest,
Oh,
and
wow.
Okay.
so they're featured, I think, in the Guggenheim. I can't really recall. I'm like terribly ad libbing like the Wikipedia stuff I've read over the years, but they're great, and it's just like such low stakes, like interesting abstract art that I just it inspires me. Like, well, if they could do it, I could do something like that, and
Yeah, it's
it's
really
just really
cool.
cool.
I'm like looking at it now. Like this is really, really cool, actually.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love them too. Their story is crazy. Not to like terribly
yeah.
segue into something else, but if you
Yeah.
want to learn more about Keith Haring, they were a LGBTQ advocate. They went through a lot of stuff at that time as an artist. I believe, unfortunately, passed away from I believe it was AIDS. I can't really recall. I say I love them. I can't really recall everything,
Yeah.
but they have such a great, vast history that I don't think it's talked enough about, and it's crazy how many of my friends don't know of them being. And they're from this area.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
tag that too. Like look more in. Like this is something I get to look into because that's really, really cool. Oh yeah.
I love art. I subscribe to my local library. I say this probably any chance I get, like support your public libraries because there's
Oh,
such cool things you can do from there. And to kind of go with the whole mental health thing, my local libraries help me out with so much stuff and so many cool resources, whether it's from museums to going to arboretums and being able to walk around like and be hanging out with flowers and stuff like that. They actually also do have a group of like the older males, but they get together and they talk about whatever's going on. Mostly it's for like PTSD and stuff they've dealt with over the years that are specific to that group. But it's still nice knowing that there's some type of outreach for people in this area.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's
I
such
love
an
that.
underrated thing. Like your local library. A lot of people would think, oh,
Yeah.
where you have to go to get if you're looking for those resources. But that's an excellent thing. And I don't think anyone's ever talked about that and
I
using
know.
that
I'm
as a
really glad you
resource.
brought that up. There is a wonderful TikTok creator. He constantly advocates for libraries because he worked in a library. I can't remember his full like username, but I know his name's Michael.
Okay.
And he's just this really sweet guy who's very into trying to advocate for libraries and everything. And his dream was always to be on PBS, and he finally got into
Uh,
PBS, and I was so excited for him.
that's so neat. I love when the success stories are so cool, especially the ones we're seeing now more than ever with like through social media. It's just little like
Yeah.
this is what the dream they wanted, and after
Mhm.
years of doing things TikTok or Instagram, they're getting it. That's so cool.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, for sure. That's what a lot of people say things about TikTok, and it does have its downsides. But
Yeah,
I will
because
say,
it's a very bittersweet kind of app, like there's a lot of beautiful, amazing things that happen on there, but then there's always the bad side of it. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to the autistic community in particular, like it's been wonderful for me to find community, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and I can find people that are like me. But then the downside is you have people that are speaking over others in the community, and it's just
Mhm.
yeah. So it's one of those
Yeah.
places that it's very two-faced. You're gonna get like really beautiful things, and then you're gonna get horrible things on it too.
Yeah. Just like you were saying, it's a lot of things in life. You can take it however you want it. and it's always going to be there, the bad stuff. But yeah, trying to seek out the positivity and like promote that or share that. That's much of this podcast for sure. This is about like I love sharing positivity and stuff like that because there's just so much bad stuff. There's so much negativity out in the world. We don't need that. We just, share the things
Yeah.
you love. I'll follow that stuff, and that's all I care about at the end of the day.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
but sorry, what was that?
No, I agree with that so much because that's what we try to do, right? You gotta, or probably what you try to do with your own music, right? Is put that positivity, something positive out there
Yeah,
instead of all the negativity. Because it is, you turn on the TV and it's something negative.
yeah. Just I forget so the specifics, but Kevin Smith in a podcast I was listening to recently was just like, yeah, I mean, you can ask me the things I don't like or what I've, what opinions I have on this new thing or this hot topic, but like I really just want to talk about the films I like or like the music I've been listening to, like that's I have more energy and I'm more passionate about that stuff. Like we could talk about the things we don't like all day, but it's what purpose does that serve? And
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try because don't get me wrong, I have, I've complained or like, man, this thing really sucked like that
Yeah.
probably today,
Yeah.
but it's just trying so hard to like go against that typical paradigm shift.
Yeah. And that's good for your mental health too, to kind of have that too and like surround yourself. And that's why I've even done it with the podcast of like, because you have to promote, probably with much like the band, you have to promote on the socials. You
Oh,
have to, whether you have to, because it's like you can do groundwork, but the majority sometimes of other people hearing you is on social media. And I hate it so much. It's the part I hate, but it's like, it's one of those things where I just try to schedule it. So I'm like, all right, I'm not really on social media as much. I'm just like, here's the post, here's the reel, whatever, enjoy it.
mhm.
Because like that's the downside, like social media. But I can only imagine for a band too, like what you guys deal with when you have this music you want to promote, but then you gotta be on social media a lot to do that. So I don't know, it's one of those
Yeah.
things. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I'm very thankful. It's like, all right, here's an episode, here's a reel, I'm done. I don't have to worry about anything else.
I wouldn't say it's as difficult as it might appear,
Mhm.
especially for being a band on social media. I feel like it's much like your own. I mean, you're not gonna share everything because there's 5 different people on this too, so you're not gonna share what everyone likes or like the
Mhm.
what everyone's into on Instagram, what have you. But trying to find that like middle ground and like sharing ideas and like I like especially in this band how much we all really want each other's input. So even before something as simple as hey, we're gonna put this thank you post. What do you guys feel about this? Like that's as much as it sounds like it's pseudo corporate, like having a meeting about it. It's more like I like their input, and sometimes I like they I forget something to post or another one member of the band who like does a lot of the editing
Mhm.
and videos is Mark, the guitarist. So trying to get that input and making sure everything looks to as I hate saying it as on brand, but just what we want to show people. Like as cool as it would be to put a certain post out there, does it actually speak to everyone in the band? And that's why I like having that input there. So it's not that bad, especially for me. Like I like thinking of it as a game because I also get to discover a lot of new artists being in a band that I
Mhm.
probably would not have discovered on my own, or just reaching out to people and like I'm trying to think like promotions or booking companies or anyone who's just willing to share our music at this point in time since we're so new. Like our local record shop, literally, I can see it from from right outside my house. They're called Forever Changes. They're nice enough to have us featured on their Bandcamp wall, and just having even outside of social media, having more in-person interactions is really cool too nowadays. Even it's so forgotten about, but it's still cool seeing that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so awesome. And I feel like too, like this has just been so great. Like, but like before we let you go, what can we manifest for Lame Gretzky? Like, what would you like to see? I mean, gosh, I mean, there's only so much left of this 2024, which is wild to think about. But what would you like to
Right.
see for the future of this band in like the coming months or even in the year? What would you like to see happen for Lame Gretzky?
Man, that's tough because everyone always thinks the idea of making it, getting the record deal, touring, all that stuff. I know we don't necessarily want that all collectively, like going gung ho and like having that be our 24/7. It'd be cool that music would be the facilitator for everything, and I can pay the bills and what have you. But that would be the ultimate goal, is if this or anything music related would help us quit our day jobs and all that cool
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, that's the dream. But really, it's just getting it to as many people as possible and having them resonate with it and share it is one, is the 10,000 or so plays enough was just crazy. But just having it just constantly shared and just having it go out as much as possible, and being able to play just either venues in Pennsylvania or in the tri-state area we haven't played yet, or playing with those people too. Like, getting to play the photo club is rad, and getting to play with those bands is really rad. But just getting to branch out a little bit more. Like, I haven't seen the Midwest, and I like the Midwest, so that'd be kind of cool to go out there, or just being able to travel a little bit more would be nice with this band. But yeah, I really don't know what the Geiger counter would be with like only having this EP out for a month. Just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just so cool seeing everything as it stands right now.
Oh, that's what like a lot of people say when we'll ask that, because it's like, oh, what do we want to see? But a lot of people are like, we just want to enjoy what's going on right now. Kind of similarly what
Hmm.
you're saying, like, like right now, like let's enjoy this, like the 10,000 that's like phenomenal, and it's well deserved. Because like I said, this is such a great EP. And if anyone's listening, I'm gonna link it. Like, go listen to this. I think I posted once on, I don't know what it is, not Spotify, what is it called? Stats? But it is Spotify, but it's like that stats app. And I think at one
Yeah.
time it showed up, and I remember like Tom seeing it, that it was like on my most played or whatever. I was like, I'm not
Oh
lying. I
yeah.
love, I'm not lying. It's really, really good. Like, I really do. And I hope somehow maybe we can push a couple more people your way, and maybe they'll be in the Philadelphia area too, which will be like really cool.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of cool stuff lined up. I mean, that is definitely for the fans. Like, thank yous or what have you. Coming up, who knows? Maybe music videos or maybe some merchandise in the future. But it's just, at the end of the day, it is a selfish thing. Like, a lot of this is for us. Like, we
Yeah.
we want to have this, this fun. We want to be able to like enjoy this with as many people as we can. So it's just like, yeah, like sharing the music, having people loving it is just really cool. Yeah, I don't know. Just like, if people can come out to shows in October, I know we have some stuff lined up locally. Actually, throughout the year, we just can't announce it yet.
Okay.
There's actually a lot of things we got. I'm like trying to think. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
I can't say that either. Can't say
Oh,
that yet. Like, it's just really exciting though. Like, just to get people more hyped up about the really dope news coming out, and it's just nothing but yeah. I can't say enough how grateful we are from everyone sharing the love to get us where we're at today. Even with this podcast, like, thank you all for taking the time out and everything. It was just really cool getting this outreach and having to have this conversation. It was neat.
and all right, guys, that was our conversation with Juan. Again, this was such a great conversation that it did go on a lot longer. You guys are missing a great conversation we had talking about crows. So, if you want that, I have that. I can put that up as like a special, because that in itself was such an amazing conversation, talk about crows. So yeah, let me know if that's something you guys would like to see, and we'll get it out there for you. But yes, it's such a great conversation, and it was one of those, again, we had so much fun. Juan said so many great things, and he was just that person that when he came in, the energy, I was like, this is going to be such a great one. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Go check out Lane Gretzky, go listen to their EP. And if you are in the Philadelphia area, make sure to go check them out. I'll post the links below for October 15th, and go check them out. As for Justine and I, there will not be another episode this week. I'm kind of taking a break of the two. We'll be back with 2 episodes next week, but this week, let's just enjoy this episode. Let's get to know Lame Gretzky. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.